If you knew me online over the past couple of years, you know that I freaking love Smash Bros. It has been over 4 years since Sora got in Smash as the final fighter in Smash Ultimate, and over 7 years since Smash Ultimate released on the Nintendo Switch. And while Sakurai has been busy over the years since Ultimate with his YouTube channel and of course Kirby Air Riders for Switch 2, which released a couple months back, I personally think it'll be some time before we get some form of Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Switch 2. With that in mind, I want to talk about some of the newcomers I want to see come to the inevitable Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not expecting absolutely everyone to return after the massive roster Ultimate had, so there'll have to be cuts, which probably means we won't be seeing Snake or Cloud in Smash Bros. Again, unfortunately. But that's also assuming we don't end up with a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Ultimate instead, cause why close the door when we can add more? With this in mind, I want to talk some rules. Number 1, 1 character per franchise. Number 2, I'll talk 5 first-party newcomers and 5 third-party newcomers to make this list feel balanced in terms of the amount of impossible-sounding characters and characters that have a bigger chance. Number 3, no, there won't be non-video game characters, so I won't be talking about Goku. Number 4, this is my list and my opinion, so if you don't like it, that's fine by me. And whether we end up getting a Switch 2 edition of Ultimate or an entirely new game, I do not know, but what I do know is that when the time comes, I'll be here to join the hype train once again. I may have retired from being the Sora for Smash hype train, but that doesn't mean I can't support one of my favorite fighting game series out there. With that in mind, let's get into the list.
Come to me, Ifrit!
I think one of the most surprising Nintendo franchises that didn't have a lot of newcomers recently is The Legend of Zelda. Besides 3 Links, 2 Zeldas, and 1 Ganondorf, there really isn't a whole lot of characters with unique identities. Of course, nothing against Zelda and Sheik and the 3 Links. Anyway, Zelda characters are hard to pick. My original choice would have been Skull Kid, but I wouldn't know how he would work aside from summoning the moon or using masks and stuff like that and psychic abilities and stuff. One I saw someone mention was the Night Construct from Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and while I understand why with the Zonai devices that would be very cool, he still feels like he could easily be a Link Echo Fighter despite the fact that he's not actually Link. But then I thought of another character from Hyrule Warriors, and not just Hyrule Warriors, but the Legend of Zelda series in general, who in my opinion is also a much better choice compared to the 2 I mentioned, that being Impa, a personal friend and advisor to Zelda. Now, as for which Impa, there aren't a lot of choices for which version of Impa they could go. There's Ocarina of Time, the Skyward Sword, and then there's Breath of the Wild, but that one is very old at that point. However, the version I'd go for personally is the younger version of that, none other than the version of Impa from Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, I played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity a couple of years ago on the Switch, and I gotta say, Impa is the most fun character to play as in the whole game. Impa would be a speedy character who wields Kodachi and is able to use throwing swords, small daggers, and employ a variety of flurry attacks. She has talismans, which she can use for a variety of effects, including making clones of herself to do twice as much damage, depending on that little meter you see there. Let's say that that'll be included as part of her moveset, and so the more that the meter gets filled, the more powerful she'll be, and the more clones she'll have. She's even able to make her clones explode by detonating them to deal explosive damage to enemies, and for her final smash, she can use her special from Age of Calamity. But let's take a page from Ryu and Ken, and make it so that she has 2 final smashes. One for when the meter is filled, and one for when it isn't. You know, like the game, with her special. She's a lot of fun to play with, and is easily my main in that game. Plus, they could have her ults be based off the different versions of her throughout the Zelda games, and even some ults not based on any, since there isn't a whole library of ults to be, since there isn't enough for a whole library of ults to be based on. But yeah, Impa for Smash, we need a new Zelda web. That isn't any of the 3 already in, please. I think out of all the Mario series out there, we got Smash representation for, we got main game representation, character focused game representation, sports game representations for the most part, at least. But I think there have been few RPG representations for Mario. Sure, we get a stage and some music tracks, but I think we need a Mario RPG character to represent the RPG side of Mario, and I can think of no better character to represent Mario RPGs than Mario himself. I said Mario RPGs. Perfection. I feel like Paper Mario has been a long time coming, and yet somehow they never added him as a playable character, which is a shame, cause while he's another Mario, he would actually be very different from Mario and Dr. Mario in many ways. For one, he's made of paper. He can turn himself into a paper plane and a paper boat. He has a variety of options for his moveset, from paint and stickers, from the recent titles, to the iconic Mario RPG staple, the hammer, and his partners from the first two Paper Mario games. He could act like Mario, where he uses some items from the Paper Mario series, but also incorporate his own attacks in his, Smash style that Sakurai is known for, or whoever makes them. Heck, have his final Smash be either the 7 Star Spirits from the OG game, something from the newer games like the fan, or a stapler for some reason, or just have a team-up attack with all the partners from the first two Paper Mario games. There's many directions they can take Paper Mario with the potential for this character and what they can do with him. Maybe focus on representing the new games, maybe focus on representing the old games, or just have a good fusion of both. I just need a Mario RPG represented in a way that isn't just a stage, cause let's be real, we are never getting Geno or Mallow, so this is the best we're gonna get with the Mario RPG representation. I feel like Square Enix is one of the pickiest companies out there when it comes to Smash. When Cloud got added, all we got in terms of music tracks were 2 Final Fantasy VII tracks. Of course, when Sephiroth got added, they added in a number of FF7 tracks, which is awesome. When the Dragon Quest Hero got in, we got 8 Dragon Quest tracks, and when Sora got added, we got 9 Kingdom Hearts tracks. 10 if you own Melody of Memory on Switch, but I digress. So this next pick, I don't expect him to put a whole lot of music tracks, but regardless, I think it'd be an awesome pick. But keep in mind, this is where my third-party picks start going to the unbelievable options. Because while this character is a Square Enix representation, the game this character is from was also developed by none other than Platinum Games. Yes, Mr. Bayonetta themselves. After we got Final Fantasy VII, Dragon Quest, and Kingdom Hearts, Nier Automata feels like the next option for a Square rep. It's not only on Switch, but also one of the most popular Square Enix franchises up there after the other 3 Square Enix franchises that are already in Smash Bros. And also Tomb Raider, but that's not really a Square franchise anymore. Automata was also developed by Platinum Games, who, if you guys don't know, also developed the Bayonetta games. And with the history between Platinum and Nintendo, yeah, it could happen, but then again, this is a Square character. 2B has a versatile of options for a moveset, from her many weapons for close range attacks, maybe similar to Byleth where certain attacks use a different weapon of hers, and her powerful long range attacks. She can also use her self-destruct as a special too, however let's change something about it. In Automata, whenever she self-destructs, her health automatically goes to 1 HP and her skirt gets removed, and with Smash being for good boys and girls, we can't have that, so just keep 2B as is after the self-destruct, and of course, deal damage to her with the self-destruct. Now, as for her final Smash, I think the most obvious one is the Yoha Flight unit you often play as in Nier Automata, or we could go a step further and have multiple Yoha Flight units alongside 2B. With how massive Nier Automata has gotten since that game initially launched, I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to do it, even if they don't put in most of the godly soundtrack that is Nier. Damn you, picky Square. At this point, Bandai Namco only has 2 representations in Smash, or at least 2 fighter representations, with most of them being Mii costumes, those being Pac-Man and Kazuya from Tekken. Now there's a load of picks they could go with, from a Tails Up Pro tag to Klonoa himself. but this pick is from a genre that hasn't been represented much in Smash, that being the Souls-like genre. Now I know we could technically get a Duskbloods character as the Souls-like rep, but we don't even know enough of that game to even consider it a Souls-like, aside from online multiplayer FromSoft game coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch 2, so it's not even a Souls-like in the same way that Dark Souls or Elden Ring are. Which reminds me, I know Dark Souls was technically the original hit in the Souls-like genre, but Elden Ring is the biggest one everyone knows right now, and the Tarnished has plenty of options for the moveset. He can wield a variety of weapons from the game, from shields, swords, bows, hammers, and more. Maybe even make use of the Remembrance weapons. And I know I said this with the last pick, but maybe have him use multiple weapons for different attacks. Yes, I know, how unoriginal of me for saying that twice in a row. Oh, but oh well. But the Tarnished is also well versed in magic with his staff. He'll be able to use many magic spells such as Howling Rocks, Arrows of Light, and have it cycle through spells similar to Sora's magic or incantations. Tarnished could have ults based on different characters and bosses from Elden Ring. And for the final smash, just have him summon an army of summons with the bell, or just have him use the Flame of Frenzy from one of the endings, or just have him use the big Kamehameha spell you can use. It'll be interesting to see what they do with a FromSoft rep, especially if it's from one of the biggest titles ever. But yeah, they'll probably choose a Duskbloods character instead, but for now I need an Elden Ring fighter representation. While I love the soundtrack for Smash Ultimate, there's still a lot missing. Like I said, before FF7 had 2 tracks until Sephiroth came in, but the biggest miss for music was Sonic the Hedgehog. Ultimate came around, and there was no new Sonic rep, no Sonic music remixes, and so assuming Sonic were to return, it's about time they let someone else join him. Now as for who? Well, let's just say Shadow was one of the options, and a pretty good one. However, I think if they were going to bring another Sonic character into Smash, why not his arch nemesis? Dr. Eggman is the iconic villain of Sonic the Hedgehog, and with Bowser Jr. being added to Smash 4, there's a good way for him to be playable. In a lot of Sonic games, he's seen riding around in his Eggmobile. Heck, sometimes he goes into an egg mech he builds specifically to defeat Sonic. Of course, it can't be anything massive, so let's say Dr. Eggman builds a mech specifically for Smash Bros. It will allow his Eggmobile to fly in and he'll be able to control it. But let's just say they have him flying around in his Eggmobile, have it adapt so he'll be able to use moves from his other machines with the Eggmobile from Sonic games. The Wrecking Ball from the first game, the Drill Machine from the second game, maybe even Big Arm to throw some punches. As for his final smash, well, there's some options. The Death Egg Robot and the Egg Dragoon are ones that come to mind most. One of the things I loved about Ultimate's roster was the amount of villains included. And were they to port Ultimate and add more characters, then Dr. Eggman would be a welcome addition to the roster. Though I will say, I think it'd be awesome to see them try to attempt Time Eater as the final smash. Wait, why am I hearing boss music? Ah! Where am I? What year is this? Are PlayStation Physicals gone? I think third-party representation now is especially as important as first-party, and with Capcom having Mega Man and Street Fighter as their franchise representatives for fighters, I think it's time for Capcom to include another character from an iconic Capcom franchise, and no, this one isn't the Monster Hunter from Monster Hunter. Instead, this is a franchise that isn't represented often by Smash Bros. Fighters. We got a lot of platform icons, we got RPG heroes and villains, and even Fighter All-Stars. But there are some genres that have yet to be represented, much like Souls-like, and this one I'm referring to is none other than the horror genre. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I could have gone with Chris Redfield, as he is the original RE Pro Tag, but I think out of Chris and Leon has a much better chance than Chris simply due to his massive popularity compared to other RE Pro Tags. Of course, they'd have to tone down the violence and swears as this is Smash Brothers, but he'd have a moveset mostly similar to Snake, but with some differences. First off, he'd be able to wield multiple different weapons such as pistol to shoot, a knife to slash, and a flash grenade to blind, as he can shoot, punch, and kick his foes with the arsenal of weapons that he has. They can also have the parry from RE4 Remake as his counter, as well as his suplex from RE6, and his axe from RE Requiem as well. He can also have ults based on his appearances in RE games and animation throughout, and for his final smash, just let him shoot the iconic rocket launcher. Plus, with Capcom supporting Switch 2 with all those Capcom games coming to Switch 2 day and date, including Resident Evil Requiem with an older Leon, I'd say his chances for Smash have never been higher, especially with him getting a Spirit in Ultimate. Now, when it comes to Nintendo franchises being represented with a lot of fighters, Pokemon will always have options. We already have a lot of Pokemon in this game, and it would be hard to choose the next Pokemon, and even I had trouble deciding a Pokemon. That was until fairly recently, or in this case like at least 3 months ago. You see, in March 2026, a little title released exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2, and because of that title, I was reminded of a certain character already in Smash Bros., the villager from Animal Crossing. You see, as I was playing this title, I came upon a realization. The realization that Ditto from Pokemon Pokopia could work really well in Smash. Now, Ditto is a Pokemon known for being able to transform into any Pokemon and use their moves. However, this specific Ditto will be in the form of their trainer, much like in Pokopia. It will be able to transform its body as well as parts of its body to use certain moves such as Rock Smash as a jab, Cut as a tilt attack, Roll Out as a side special, it can camouflage as a counter or up special, Glide as an extra jump or up special, it can inhale projectiles and items. Ditto has the moveset potential for Smash, but another thing I think would be interesting is the PP meter from Pokopia. I think there can be a way to add that into Smash as a gimmick for Ditto. With Ditto, you'll be able to plant vegetables in the ground, then use water gun to grow them. Then you can eat them by either eating them normally or inhaling them, and by doing so, your PP will go up, and depending on the vegetables, your moves will get stronger, or instead of planting vegetables, just have it be Ditto cooking in a kitchen to make it more game accurate. Like genuinely, Ditto would be an awesome pick for Smash, and I strongly believe it'll make it in with how popular Pokopia has gotten within the last couple months of its release. And for its final Smash, either have Ditto surf a wave into opponents, or, spoilers in 3, 2, 1, shove them into a rocket to blast off. I think people underestimate just how much Kirby fans are eating. Kirby fans ate good throughout most of the Switch era, and even over a year in the Switch 2 era, they're still eating good. I wouldn't be surprised if we did end up getting a new Kirby rep for Smash. I mean, the last one we got was Meta Knight way back in Brawl. As for who, well, if it isn't obvious enough, there's only one member left of the main gang that isn't included. Bandana Waddle Dee is, as you can see, a Waddle Dee with a bandana. He wields a spear, which not a lot of Smash fighters have. If anything, Bandana Waddle Dee would be the first fighter to primarily be wielding a spear. Just take his moveset from the 2B Kirby games he's playable in and you're good. Maybe have him use a parasol for some attacks, since Waddle Dees like to use that. You got a good moveset from the 2D games, namely Return to Dreamland and Star Allies. His up special could be his propeller move, his up smash could be his up stab attack with his spear, the dash attack could be the propeller dash. As for his final smash, just have him command an army of Waddle Dees, and of course have him have the final strike. And for those saying he ain't gonna get in, he's a Waddle Dee, shut up, they let a Piranha plant in Smash Bros, that's no excuse. And also, clearly Sakurai doesn't hate the modern Kirby characters, cause look at the Air Riders roster. Anyway, I need a new Kirby rep, so please, just give my boy another friend to join the battle. The Xenoblade franchise has especially grown in the Switch era. Before the Switch dropped, all we had was the OG Xenoblade and Xenoblade X. Now we have Xenoblade 2, Xenoblade Definitive Edition, Xenoblade 3, and Xenoblade X Definitive Edition. And while Xenoblade Genesis was recently announced for 2027, I think it's safe to say that we'll for sure get another Xenoblade Weapon Smash. As for which character, well, that depends. You see, with Genesis on the way, we could get a character from that game. However, if the roster was to be decided before 2027, then it could be a character from a recent title, those being Xenoblade X Definitive Edition or Xenoblade 3. Now, while it could be interesting to see Elma in the game with the scales, I gotta be honest, I would love to see Noah in Smash so much more than Elma. Now, I was originally gonna have Neo be part of his moveset, where you can switch between the two, but that'd be too similar to Pyra and Mithra, so I got a better idea. Unlike the other Xenoblade games, Xenoblade 3 has a job system which allows the party members and heroes to use skills and weapons that aren't their own. For example, Noah can use Mio's chakras and her skills despite having never used them before. His specials could mainly be his blade known as Lucky 7, and taking a page from Joker from Persona 5, his down special could be a guard where once a meter is filled enough from guarding or taking damage, Noah will unsheath the Lucky 7 from the Veiled Sword, allowing for more powerful versions of its initial attacks. While Noah will of course continue to use his blade, there's a lot of possibilities in the amount of other jobs from Xenoblade 3. And of course, his ults can be the other main party members' outfits, as well as one reminiscent of M. His final smash would be a team-up attack with Mio leading up to an attack of their Ouroboros form. Honestly, we could get Elma since that's the more recent Xenoblade title we got, unless we get Genesis beforehand, but for me, I'd go with Noah personally as my most wanted first-party newcomer for Smash. Now, I mentioned Noah was my most wanted first-party newcomer for Smash, but what about the third party? Now, one character I was shocked to see excluded from Smash Ultimate is one people know really well. We got plenty of third-party platforming icons over the years, from Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, and even Banjo-Kazooie. But this icon, he's an icon of platforming that sadly hasn't been getting much nowadays. Despite recent years of cancellations of a new game and Microsoft not doing much with him anymore, he was the one that started up what PlayStation had all those years ago on the original PlayStation, this being Crash Bandicoot. I think it's an understatement to say that Crash Bandicoot would fit extremely well with the Smash roster. He's wacky, he's cartoony, he's just perfect for it. He has a variety of moves and items he could pull from the game, such as his iconic spin, his jetpack, and bazooka. Maybe he can use even the Wumpa crates, TNT crates, and the masks from Crash 4. There's a lot of possibilities here. His final smash could be quite a couple of options. The main ones that come to mind are the Bodo from Crash 1, or his animal friends just running through opponents, or just have him drop his opponents in a dungeon where he just drops a bunch of crates on them. You know, like how they do at the end of each Crash level if you miss a certain amount of crates. And the reason why I think Crash Bandicoot would be incredibly well done would be in that he would actually be great for Smash. One of the main reasons is that Smash Bros. Is a celebration of video games. And to me, it only makes sense to have the original platformer of PlayStation join the battle to complete the trinity of console war platformers and unite them together. Even though, like I said, Sony doesn't even own Crash Bandicoot anymore and Microsoft does, but we all know Crash is a PlayStation character at first and foremost. I mean, either way, I would love to see Crash Bandicoot in Smash, as he is currently one of my most wanted newcomers for Smash Bros. For Switch 2, whenever that comes out.